Where's the timer? There we go. We are live. Wednesday, May 8th. And honestly, baseball doesn't even matter. I don't know if you caught it yesterday, but Liverpool had quite the comeback. Down 3-0, heading into the second leg of their Champions League semifinal. Down their two best offensive players and 4-0 victory. Champions League final. Adam, how much do you care about Liverpool's victory yesterday?
I dozed off as soon as you said the word Liverpool.
That's fair. That's fair. It was the greatest sporting event I've ever watched in my entire life. I've never been more captivated for 2 straight hours.
You didn't watch the Reds and A's last night?
You know, I missed most of that.
I actually fell asleep during the no-hitter.
Because it's not that interesting. It's like a
fancier
triple-double.
Also because it was 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. It was... I've never been happier. I've never been more excited, more interested. And we just have to finish it off June 1st, preferably against Ajax. That's where I'm at.
Wait, so there's like a month gap between games?
The final is June 1st.
Are there games between now and then?
No.
Is that not weird?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, think of it like college football. You know, there's usually like a couple weeks between whenever the two good teams play and then the championship game. It's like that.
Yeah.
It was so great. I'm so happy. Anyway, let's get to baseball because, you know, we need to talk about something here today, and I don't think anybody cares about my Liverpool takes. MLB Strategy is the promo code, 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including those with Fantasy Cruncher. If you want to check us out, use the promo code MLB Strategy. And as usual, we are brought to you by Yahoo Sports. I've dropped the link into chat already. If you're looking to sign up at Yahoo, please use that link. It helps us out tremendously. You can use the promo code AWESEMO. Get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. 10 max tournaments, low management fees, sometimes no management fees. You are going to be better off playing on Yahoo primarily than any other site. And I truly believe that. I think that you will see softer competition, better payout structures for your tournaments. Everything you're looking for is there. If you're playing a small amount of money, that should be the first place you're going, in my opinion. So check it out. Again, the link is in the chat if you want to sign up. It's also in the comments or in the video description. So click on that, sign up for Yahoo, and let us know what you think. So we got 2 slates today, 4-gamer on both FanDuel and DraftKings. So kudos to them for not screwing this up in some way. And then we've got an 8-gamer for the main slate. Nice little split. I love Wednesdays. I like being able to play all day. Gives me something.
I do too, because it gives me a chance to, completely screw up one slate and then go back and think that I'm not going to do it again.
Or jam in profits in the main slate after you have a good early, like, oh, I'm playing with house money today.
Yeah, that rarely happens for me. It's weird. Like even going back to like playing poker, it was always like I wouldn't do well. I'd always be excited on days that I was just playing like all day long, but I'd always just like suck in the early tournaments and then hopefully win something late. And it's normally the same for me in DFS. Like my early slate goes to shit, and then sometimes I win the late slate.
I hear you. All right, so we're going to tackle the first 4 games in the early slate, and then we'll pivot to main slate action. So let's start it off. 12:35 p.m. start. So be ready for a relatively quick lock after we're done this show. Pirates and Rangers. 4.7 run implied total for the Pirates. 4.4 for the Rangers. 53% chance to win for Pittsburgh. Nick Kingham going for the Pirates. Shelby Miller going for the Rangers. Neither guy, in my opinion, is someone that I'm looking for today. This does not appear to be a spot where I'm going to get a lot of pitching in the early slate. Talk to me about, I guess, Kingham, since I assume we both don't want Shelby Miller.
Yeah, I mean, I really have no interest in Miller. Kingham is, I think, pretty easily the more talented of the 2 pitchers. The problem is that, and I'm pulling his numbers up now, but going from memory, he has some issues with lefties in the past, and we obviously have a ton of lefty power in Texas's lineup. So 702 pitches thrown to left-handed hitters for Kingham, a 370 expected WOBA, 238 expected ISO, 9.8% swinging strike percentage. That's compared to a 13.8% swinging strike percentage to righties. So facing a lineup full of left-handed power isn't normally where you want to get to Nick Kingham. The game being in PNC does help with that, but guys like Joey Gallo still very likely to cause problems. Shin-Soo really good. So yeah, I mean, it's the mid-range. It's a 4-game slate. Mid-range at pitcher isn't great. There is strikeout upside in the Texas lineup, so I imagine that I'll get maybe some Kingham in lineups, but not a matchup that I'm actually seeking out.
Okay. Yeah, I have way too much Rangers bats to be wanting to get to too much Kingham. Kingham at 6% ownership, Shelby Miller at 7%. So there are 3 guys projected on the DraftKings slate to have to have single-digit ownership. 2 of them are pitching in this game. Rangers are right now my number 2 stack on FanDuel, on DK. They're 3rd on Yahoo. Pirates are a little bit further down in that list. Well, they're 3rd on FanDuel. They are 5th on DK for me and 6th on Yahoo. So I'm prioritizing the Rangers. We do, I believe, have the Pirates lineup at this point. We don't have the Rangers. How do you feel about hitting here? Anything standing out to you?
I mean, the park sucks, but Shelby Miller, man. Gregory Polanco at 4,100 is a pretty nice play. He's running again, which is nice. Had a stolen base taken away yesterday, but just the fact that he's attempting steals is good. The park doesn't do him any favors, obviously, but I think the price tag's just really, really appealing for Polanco in particular. Starling Marte, always a high upside play. Jung-Ho Kang batting 5th is cheap. He's been absolutely terrible this year, but he's still cheap and still Shelby Miller. So one of them has to win that matchup. So yeah, I like getting the bats in this game.
Okay. Yeah, it's not that I don't like some of the bats for the Pirates. The problem is they go 1, 2, 3, outfield, 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 and that's even harder to deal with on a 4-gamer. There's just less options that are going to fit nicely. Now you could be stacking less on a 4-game slate, but at the same time, it makes it really difficult. It's not so bad on FanDuel where 2 of the guys are under 3K. Like the financial piece of it is easy, but it's just so much easier to stack up a team when they have a different combination of positions at the top. If you're looking at this game, do you prefer Rangers or Pirates more?
Rangers, just because there's more power.
Yeah, the lefty power in particular. In this park, it's essentially an average park for left-handed power. They've got a 101 park factor. But for righties, 89, one of the more difficult parks for right-handed power. And when you're looking at this lineup and you go lefty, righty, lefty, 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 that's a pretty difficult spot for Nick Kingham. The only righty in that list was Elvis Andrus, and he's not exactly the guy that you're taking for power potential anyway. So I really like the Rangers here. They are crazy expensive on DK for a game in Pittsburgh, but light tower power coming out of Gallo, going to be a guy that I'm interested in even at 5,700 on DK.
Yeah, you and I think have talked about it before with Gallo. He's not one of the guys you really worry all that much about park factor because he just hits the ball to the moon regardless.
Yeah, he not a lot of 300 and plus 1 foot over the fence type dongs out of Gallo. Yeah. When it goes, it goes. Favorite bat from this game?
Probably Gallo. Polanco.
Okay. It's probably Gallo for me. Polanco definitely. I would say my favorite from the Pirates. Anything else we want to touch on here? Anybody standing out from a weird price? Odor is $11 on Yahoo. That continues to be a really interesting price tag for him.
$4 too expensive.
Probably. And you mentioned Gong being cheap. Another guy that you want to take a look at. That's probably it here. Brewers and Nats. 5.1 run implied total for the Brewers, 3.8 for the Nats. It's a 63% chance to win for Milwaukee. Brandon Woodruff going for the Brewers. Jeremy Hellickson going for the Nats. Woodruff at 55% ownership on DK right now. That's the chalk number, just in case anybody's curious. Hellickson actually got to 12%, which is I mean, of all the places to take him, this doesn't feel like it. How do you feel about Woodruff here as the chalk option on DraftKings?
I mean, he's my top point per dollar pitcher. He's my number one mid-range guy in terms of projected points. He's pretty good, especially against righties. He's limited righties to a 111 x ISO this year, and expected WOBA below 300 against at 288 against righties, 12% swinging strike percentage. And this Nats lineup still missing Matt Adams, still missing Juan Soto. Rendon's back, which makes it a little bit more formidable, but still missing their left-handed power. So I do really like Woodruff a lot. The 4-game slate, the ownership is going to be concentrated, and a lot of people going to Woodruff, like you said. So leverage stacking with the Nats is certainly a viable option on a slate like this. But just talking about what I think is going to happen, Woodruff is my top point per dollar guy.
Interesting. So I have Woodruff 4th of 8. So I'm assuming I'm gonna get like a crazy amount of Nats when I run my crunches.
Yeah.
I have him behind Robbie Ray, behind Morton, behind Flaherty. So that first crunch is going to be really interesting for me. I would guess that I end up with a lot more Eichhoff, and I wouldn't have thought that before the day started, but it'll be interesting to take a look at. I can't imagine you have interest in Hellickson here.
No. Yeah, I mean, I guess when you look at the price tag, it's basically him or Shelby Miller. If you have to go to that price range, which is probably why he's getting some ownership.
Yeah.
Because out of the two, I don't even know. Would you lean Hellickson or Miller?
I would go Miller because I have the Brewers as my number one stack with a bullet. So it's really hard for me to think maybe I can get myself some Jeremy Hellickson. What's the upside? A no strikeout, terrible pitcher going up against a team that slugs 204 as an ISO collectively?
Right. Yeah, no, I just looked. I actually have Shelby Miller projected higher than Hellickson, which, again, I think Miller's terrible, but it's a better park. It's a worse offense.
Yeah, they both suck. I don't want to roster either guy, but if I had to choose between the two, it's certainly going to be Miller just because of Milwaukee. And, I buried the lead a little bit, but Milwaukee, my number one stack on FanDuel by miles, my number one stack on DK by not as many miles, but still number one. Number one on Yahoo as well. Are they number one for you?
Yeah, their price tags are really appealing too. We talked about, for the most part, Texas being really expensive and Pittsburgh being expensive. You have Josh Bell, for example, at $5K. For Milwaukee, you have one of the best hitting catchers, which is obviously valuable on Yahoo and DraftKings. But Yasmani Grandal, if he's in the lineup, is inexpensive.
He's $3,000 on FanDuel.
Grandal caught last night, right?
Wait, what?
Did Grandal catch last night?
No idea.
Because if he did, he's probably not going to play today.
He's my number one Brewers bat on FanDuel just because of his price. Him being a catcher probably keeps people off of him. He's still maybe their second best hitter.
Yeah, he's a well above average hitter, and if you ignore positions.
Yeah.
So if he's in the lineup, I'm trying to get up yesterday's lineup to see if it was him, or not. But you have Travis Shaw is still 3,100 on DraftKings. I was getting to him against Scherzer and Strasburg because he was so cheap. I'm clearly going to get to him against Jeremy Hellickson.
Yeah, for sure.
Grandal caught last night, so okay. I doubt
he probably doesn't catch today.
Yeah.
Not out of the realm, but not normally the scenario for this sort of stuff.
It wouldn't be the first time it's happened, but
no,
it would be unusual.
I mean, I love this 1-7 with Grandal in the lineup right now. I won all of it. I'm going to have more Brewers than I'll have anybody else. I hope that Jeremy Hellickson continues to get some ownership on DK that'll push my Brewer stacks even higher.
Yeah.
Favorite Brewers bat on DraftKings?
Travis Shaw.
3,100 is a really tough price to not roster, I guess. Grandal for me if he ends up being in the lineup. If not, it's probably Moose Tacos. I'm going to have some interest in the Nats. They are 5th for me on FanDuel, 6th on DK, 5th on Yahoo, but Brandon Woodruff's ownership, I expect to pull that up slightly. Nothing stands out as really exciting, but getting, Eaton, Rendon, Brian Dozier, there's an efficient stack in there to be found. I'm not super worried about Woodruff. So do you anticipate getting to any Nats since Woodruff is your number one point per dollar guy?
I don't think I'll get to much Washington outside of some leverage decks.
Okay. I get it. Like, as a team, they don't grade out super well for me. This one's totally based on Woodruff's ownership. I'll pull up Woodruff's game logs. I want to know if he's going deeper into games than I'm anticipating. Over however many. No, he's not. Last 5 starts, 5 innings, 5 innings, 5 2/3, 5 2/3, averaging 36 or going 36 1/3 over 7 starts, just north of 5. Maybe I can give him a little bit more. I feel like I'm being a little pessimistic for him.
Yeah, I mean, he's still last start 94 pitches, 87, 99, 94, 97, 88, 100. The pitch counts there. It's just a matter of efficiency.
Yeah, I gave him an extra quarter of an inning. I'm pretty comfortable there. He's still my 4th best starter, so I'm okay with it. Favorite Nats bat?
I mean, Rendon.
Okay. On DK, it's probably Victor Robles for me, and that feels like the wrong answer.
Yeah, I mean, he's too close to Rendon in price for me.
Yeah, I get it. There's the Sean V take. Hey, Grandal is awful right now. We probably shouldn't be playing him.
Right now.
Rays. Why is this sorted like this? There we go. Rays and Diamondbacks. 3.9 run implied total for the Rays. 3.3 for the D-backs. 57% chance to win for Tampa. Charlie Morton going for the Rays. Robbie Ray going for the Diamondbacks. Ray versus Rays. That should be a battle. Sometimes I hate myself. 47% expected ownership going to Ray on DK. 37 on FanDuel. I assume that's the chalk? Yes. Robbie Ray, the chalk on FanDuel. We've got Morton at 33% on DK, 20% on FanDuel. Both of these guys expected to get a ton of ownership. Ray is my number 1 pitcher on both sites. Morton is my number 2 on both sites. Ray is number 1 on Yahoo. Morton number 2 on Yahoo. So these are the 2 guys that I want the most of as of right now. Talk to me about Robbie Ray and or Charlie Morton.
Yeah, so I mean, I like both pitchers a lot too. Morton obviously I think is really good. Ray has a ton of strikeout upside. I don't think he's not like as good as most ace pitchers in terms of consistency, but the strikeout upside's there, and it's a huge park shift for him going into Tampa. It hasn't been the case over his first 7 starts this year, but for the last few years, he's just been markedly better outside of Chase Field, and now you get a huge park upgrade going to Tampa Bay. A lot of right-handed power in the lineup for Tampa Bay, or at least a lot of right-handed hitters. I guess the power part's kind of questionable since most of their power hitters are left-handed, but also a lot of strikeouts and pretty reasonable price tag on Ray as well. So I have him as my number 1, overall guy points wise.
Okay, yeah, same page. It is tight at the top. There's no like standout candidates for me. Do you expect to have more Ray than Morton?
Probably, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I have Ray grading out with a higher fantasy point total, a higher chance of hitting his target score, and he's $1,000 cheaper on both sites. So,
one concern I do have about Ray is, so his strikeouts are down this year, but so is his velocity. He's averaging 92.5 miles an hour on his fastball. Last year, he was at 93.7. The years before that, he was slightly over 94. I don't want to make too much of it, especially because it's not like we're paying a premium price for him, but it's not great when your guy that normally throws 94 is throwing 92.
Yeah, for sure. I'm with you there. It's something that I looked at a little earlier today, actually, which gave me a little bit of pause. And then I looked at the rest of the pitching crop today and was just like, what else am I going to do? It's not like I'm going to get a couple extra shares of Jeremy Hellickson. I don't anticipate getting to bats here. The Rays and Diamondbacks grade out as my 2 lowest ranked stacks. Rays are getting some love, as they should. They're better than the Diamondbacks, but I don't get the sense that I'm going to have a lot of stacks from this game. Do you think you will?
I don't think I'll have a lot because the park really isn't appealing. And I kind of mentioned it when I was talking about Robbie Ray, but the guys that I like taking the most from Tampa Bay are, for the most part, left-handed with, Brandon Lau, G-Man Choi in particular. Tommy Pham obviously is really good and, batting second. But guys like Daniel Robertson kind of don't, like, he's cheap, which is nice. He's cheap in batting third, so you can get there, but he's not like the biggest power bat. Yandy Diaz, is off to a really good start power-wise, but there's a very long track record of that not being a real thing.
Yeah.
So I'm still not really buying into it entirely. I do like Zunino batting fifth. Catcher, obviously a really tough position, especially if Grandal's not in the lineup. So I like Zunino in particular, and kind of like the Nats, I could see getting here just because of Robbie Ray's ownership, but it's not a spot where, like, I think it grades out well or anything like that.
Yeah, Zunino 2,400 on FanDuel. I get interest in that. I'll always bet on power. I don't care that people are the catcher. And then Jared Dyson grades out at okay for me, leading off on FanDuel at 2,600. But I don't see any bats that I really care for.
I actually like the Jared Dyson call. I'm trying to double check it, but if I remember right, Morton's bad at holding runners, and we know he walks guys. So there's a relatively good chance Dyson gets on base, and if he does, he should be running.
Even better. Yeah, 2,600 on FanDuel for a leadoff hitter. I'll always have some interest. 4,400 on DK. Not as appealing. Yeah, that's probably it for this game. Let's close out the early slate. Cardinals and Phillies. 4.7 run implied total for the Cards, 3.8 for the Phils. It's a 59% chance to win for St. Louis. Jack Flaherty going for the Cardinals. Jared Eichhoff going for the Phillies. Eichhoff only 5% expected ownership right now. I get the sense that I'm going to have slightly more than that just by default. Flaherty, 35% on DK, 18% on FanDuel. He's my third favorite guy. He's sort of third in ownership. I'm fine having some Flaherty. I don't get the sense that I'll go crazy about it. What do you think about Flaherty or Eichhoff, I guess?
Yeah, I would have had interest in Flaherty if he was projected for lower ownership, but I just, I have him behind Ray. And I have him a little bit ahead of Morton. Like, I'm basically the same as Morton in projected points. So I think I'll probably end up, kind of splitting between those two. But right now, at least, I have Ray a little ahead of both, and he's less expensive. So I think I'll get less Flaherty there. It's a Philadelphia lineup, that makes you work. They occasionally do give up some big games, but it's still a dangerous lineup. It should be favorable hitting conditions in St. Louis today. It gets hot and humid during the day this time of year. So not the easiest matchup for Flaherty. And then Eichhoff, I buy into his stuff. I think that he's reasonably good, but he also is expensive now. He's facing a Cardinals team that, while it is predominantly right-handed, has a ton of power and a lot of good, just overall good hitters. If you search by pitch type, they're good at hitting fastballs. They're good at hitting curveballs. They're good at hitting basically anything that pitchers throw, especially the top part of that order. So just a really dangerous spot for Eichhoff, I think.
Yeah, I have the Phillies and Cardinals just basically neutral in terms of my stack ranking. So I anticipate being here a little bit. Carpenter and Goldschmidt clearly grading out as the best options from St. Louis. McCutchen and Harper, my clear two best options from the Phillies. Anybody that I'm missing that stands out to you?
Real Muto at 4K. Not that it's a great matchup or anything like that, but he's too good of a hitter at a weak position.
Yeah, I'm always down with catchers that are actually good. Anybody else standing out? Odubel Herrera is $7 on Yahoo. That's interesting, I guess.
32 on DraftKings is pretty nice too.
Doesn't grade out all that well for me.
Who? Herrera?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's still a bad matchup.
I don't like that dude for some reason, and I don't know why. All right, so favorite team on the early slate from a hitting perspective?
I mean, obviously Milwaukee. But I would say Milwaukee, Texas, and then the Cardinals.
I would go Milwaukee, Texas, and then the Phillies. Cardinals are fourth, so it sounds like you're reading off my sheet.
I'll have to switch that up. I want to make money.
Wrong
You've been winning too much lately.
Yeah, wrong sport for that one, man. Can't let it slide. I'll send this to you today if you want it. All right, early slate is donezo. Let's move on to the main slate. And hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel. If you hit the like button, it helps us. If you're here, it should be the least you can do for a free YouTube show. Subscribe so you know when we go live. I mean, at the minimum, we're running like 3 shows a day. Sometimes it's 5 or 6. Get yourself some alerts to know when stuff's going down. Subscribe to the channel, and you can have all of the events are created in the morning, so you can get the entire schedule. We have a content schedule that can be searched on Slack. If you just type !schedule, you'll find out what we're doing. Or there's a schedule posted to the website that has our entire video content posted for each week. But you can get that if you just subscribe to the channel. I'm going to grab our main slate ownership, and then we can get started. Was not out by the time I got to it. Do you know if the Cubs total is out? It is 7.5, which is what I entered. Yay me! Yesterday I missed it by 3.5 runs.
You didn't have it being 46 degrees with 12-mile-an-hour winds blowing in?
I put it in as 10. Came in at 6.5.
Yeah,
missed a bit. Just a hair. Oh well. That's
yesterday was probably the first and last time I will ever roster John Lester at $9,000 with any sort of frequency.
How'd he do?
Good. 20 something. Not as good as Caleb Smith, of course, who went for like 29.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Started off shaky though, right?
I started looking after the 4th inning. He'd given up 2 earned runs, but he already had 8 strikeouts.
Okay.
He went like 6 2/3 with 11 strikeouts.
Yeah, he is going significantly deeper into games this season than he had previously. That's something that people need to pay attention to because I know it caught me.
Really good.
Yeah.
Like it always feels weird. Like there always feels like there should be like a yeah but statement to that because he's on the Marlins and everyone on the Marlins sucks, but he's so good. Like
no, everybody on the Marlins sucks after the fire sale. He's just the next guy to go.
Yeah, that's true.
They're really good at getting these guys.
Right.
I mean, like some might say better than everyone else.
Right. Yeah, good point.
Yeah, so he's just naturally going to be on the Yankees 2 years from now.
He was on the Yankees. Like that's where he came from.
Oh, he's going back then. Back to Cali. When was he on the Yankees?
Before the Marlins.
Thanks.
Like
man.
He was in their minor league system. Like he.
Holy hell! Yeah, I mean, wait, what? So how did he get there?
I don't remember. I don't remember if he was a free agent or like a trade for someone.
Wasn't Rule 5? Who would have been the trade?
I don't think it was the trade. Maybe.
Let me look at Baseball Reference because now I just want to know. I assume Baseball Reference will have it. Does Cott's contract still exist? No, we are just real wrong. Traded by the New York Yankees with Garrett Cooper to the Miami Marlins for Mike King and international bonus slot money. Man, the Yankees are probably like, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Alrighty. Main slate, 8 games. First game up. Not a great one here for you. The Baltimore Orioles hosting the Boston Red Sox. 3-run implied total for the Orioles. 5.1 for the Red Sox. 73% chance to win for Boston. Andrew Kashner going for the Orioles. Chris Sale on the hill for Boston. I got excited. I saw Chris Sale's price. He's $54 on Yahoo, $11K on FanDuel, $10.4 on DK. And I immediately thought, okay, good. I don't have to just roster 100% Chris Sale because he's priced like, he's not Chris Sale. Well, now he's priced like he's Chris Sale. And unfortunately, I'm still going to play a ton of him because there's not as much pitching at the top end on today's slate. And he faces the Orioles, and they're terrible.
Yeah. They don't strike out a ton, which is like the only good thing you can say about them. But, I'm right there with you. I have Sale projected as the number 1 pitcher by a pretty wide margin. So I will be getting to a lot of him.
Yeah, it's really difficult to see a different scenario here. Sale, okay, it's not this difficult. Chris Sale is projected for 53% ownership on DraftKings. I don't disagree with that, but Clayton Kershaw is at half of that number right now, and I don't think that the gap is half. So.
I don't even really care about Kershaw. It's more so like I can make arguments to just get to, mid-range guys or like, Matt Boyd plus Sonny Gray or something like that.
You lost me on both of those names. You love Sonny Gray.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. You got the wrong Gray on that one. You should have said John Gray.
Sonny Gray's better.
No. Pass. If you would have said John Gray, Kyle Hendricks, then I would have been in with you.
Kyle Hendricks, my God.
How about John Gray plus Derek Holland? Stacking pitchers in cores.
I didn't realize Holland was on the slate because he was so far down. I do like Derek. I
like Derek Holland a lot today. He's at 5% ownership. I'll probably have 25.
Yeah.
Anyway, how much Cashner do you want here against the Red Sox? I couldn't even finish it without laughing.
I'll take 0.
Yeah. All right, here's a test case for everybody. If you are looking to build your own model or start your own projections, if you do that for today and you don't get Boston at the top, throw it in the garbage and start over. Any chance you don't want the Red Sox bats today?
No.
Aside from public ownership, is there anything that could possibly keep you from the Red Sox?
No, Andrew Cashner's terrible. He doesn't even get ground balls anymore. That used to be like the one thing he did well. Doesn't do that. Orioles bullpen's bad. Red Sox are good. Red Sox lineup is deep. They cover every position. Like there's nothing.
They've been my number one stack for a couple straight days. It was really nice. We took the dogs for a walk at like 8 o'clock, and I turned on the home run alerts. So anytime I got the Boston one, like the Moreland, and I was just like, okay, I know this has to be going well. Can't wait to get home and check it all out. But I mean, just play really good hitters against really bad pitchers. It's really that easy. Like Andrew Cashner shouldn't have a job any longer, and he might have one for years.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how bad the Orioles are right now. Where like Cashner comes up to pitch, and you're just like, it's another guy.
Yeah. They're so bad, and it's just this sea of like dudes that were supposed to be good. Like Dylan Bundy's just basically wearing the Andrew Cashner uniform every time he rolls out there.
Okay, let's not get crazy.
He has like Bundy is where Cashner was 5 years ago, where like every once in a while you were like, oh, Cashner might still be good. Like his stuff is electric. He's just got to get on the field, and now it's like no, it's not anymore.
Yeah. Was Cashner ever striking out like 30% of hitters?
I think he was back in the day. Like when he was with San Diego, I think he had really dirty stuff.
He used to throw 100 miles an hour. So.
Yeah. Now I just want to see it. Okay, so he's been up since 2010. I forgot he was with the Cubs.
Yeah. He was part of the Rizzo trade.
Yeah. He had a 26.5 strikeout rate in the first year in San Diego, 10 Ks per 9. And then the following year, 18%, 6.5 Ks per 9. Okay, that 26% happened in 46 innings. So, not really. Coming up, though, he did. Josh, you should know by now, to not stack against Cashner. Yeah,
Why?
About that. What I'm going to do is go ahead and stack against him more than I stack against any other pitcher on this main slate.
I was on board with the not stacking against Cashner thing a couple years ago when he actually was getting ground balls, because I actually dug in pretty deep to like how he had so many of those starts where he just didn't give up runs, and you could actually see him pitch completely differently with guys on base. Like he would just start pounding the bottom of the zone if you looked at his heat maps and stuff, and get ground balls, and so it wasn't like a total fluke that he was like letting guys on, but then not giving up as many runs. But he doesn't even get ground balls anymore.
Do you have a favorite Red Sox bat?
JD.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
although I'll take anything at the top.
I'll take anything throughout.
Yeah, I don't really need a lot of Sandy in the 9-hole.
Yeah, he's 3,400 at catcher.
I mean, he's not a one-off for me, but I'm happy to have him in a 5-man stack.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's all good. Just don't overthink it. Play the Red Sox. Any Orioles bats stand out to you against Sale? Or is
No.
it the normal, VR and Mancini, whatever?
Yeah, I mean Mancini's price came down, so that's nice, but I don't think I'll be getting to the Orioles.
Fair enough. Blue Jays and Twins, 4.5 run total for the Jays, 4.5 for the Jakes, 50-50 game. Trent Thornton on the hill for Toronto, Kyle Gibson going for Minnesota. Gibson at 25% ownership on DK, 19 on Yahoo, 12 on FanDuel. Thornton, 7% on DK, 17 on Yahoo, where he's only $25, 2% on FanDuel. Do you have a preference between Gibson and Thornton?
Gibson. I mean, Gibson's one of those guys. I like his stuff. I wish he pitched totally differently than he does. He should get so many more strikeouts.
Yeah.
I think it'll happen eventually. I mean, there's too much data out there now for pitching coaches to be this dumb and pitchers to be this dumb. But
Sure.
So far he has been. But again, it's not a great Toronto lineup. They strike out a lot. They don't hit very well. And Gibson, I think, is perfectly fine. Thornton, hit or miss, decent stuff, but really has struggled with lefties. And so that the top part of this order with Kepler, Rosario, Polanco, I think gives him a lot of trouble. And then it's just a pretty deep and good lineup overall. So I'm not really interested in Thornton.
Yeah, I have Gibson and Thornton literally as equals on DK. Gibson at 25%, Thornton at 7%. I did get Thornton to 5 innings, so I might be overestimating him. I know he's not one for getting super deep into these games. The lineups in this one will tell a pretty big story. I have no problem having either guy, though. They both grade out as functional options in the mid-range. I'm really surprised to see Gibson getting to 25%, but
yeah, I was surprised when you said that.
That feels a little high, especially with John Gray at 11. I would much rather, I'll have a ton of John Gray in comparison. People just keep not understanding cores right now. When you can get a 9.5 run implied total or whatever it is on cores with John Gray and Derek Holland, who are good, but I think Gray is really good. But it's like 40 degrees. Like this is not Colorado in July when this total ends up being 12.
Yeah, I mean, if you're on the fence about it, just go back and watch a couple of watch Nolan Arenado and Trevor Story's final at bats yesterday. Like Arenado just launched one to left, caught on the warning track. Story crushed one to right, caught right in front of the wall. Like the ball just doesn't carry.
Yeah, it's a good time to be getting Coors pitchers. Shout out Mad.
I mean, you still
shout out Mad Bum.
You still run into the issue of the giant outfield and all that.
Yep. Let's talk bats here. Jays and Twins. Twins are 4th for me on DK. Jays are near the bottom. Twins are 5th for me on FanDuel. Jays are in the middle of the pack. Both teams in the middle of the pack on Yahoo. There are things that I like individually from both teams. Smoke and Grichuk grading out best for the Blue Jays. Vlad Guerrero Jr., $9 on Yahoo. That's appealing to me. For the Twins, anything in the top 5 works. Kind of a difficult team to stack, but what hitters stand out for you?
Kepler, Polanco, Rosario. And then Marwin Gonzalez is still free.
Yes, he is. 3,200 first in outfield. Oh, I got a cough. All right, I'm back. Favorite bat in this entire game?
Eddie Rosario.
Okay. We'll go Kepler. Anything else?
No. Is Vlad Guerrero better than Mike Trout yet?
Yelich is. Ah, people. It's incredible. Tigers and Angels. 3.9 run implied total for the Tigers. 4.1 for the Angels. 51% chance to win for Anaheim. Or Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Or whatever their actual name is now that I'll never remember. They're just Anaheim. Matt Boyd going for the Tigers. Tyler Skaggs going for the Angels. Skaggs 2% expected ownership. Boyd at 6%. I am not really fond of either guy. I don't really have any interest in pitching here. Do you?
Yeah. Especially at low ownership. What did you say Boyd's was?
6.
Yeah. So that's where my interest comes in. We know there's not a lot of strikeouts in the Angels lineup. Boyd is pretty expensive, like to a point where you do need those strikeouts. But his strikeout stuff has just been so good, and I do buy into him. So I have some interest in him as a low owned pitcher. Again, like I have Sale clearly ahead in that price range, but at low ownership, it's kind of interesting. And Skaggs, I don't know, he's someone that I've bought into for years. I think he has good stuff. He's obviously dealt with a lot of injuries, but 125 innings last season, struck out, I think, like 24%. He's at 23% so far this year. Tigers not very good. They have plenty of strikeouts in their lineup. Skaggs is a little bit more expensive than I would like, but again, if you're getting no ownership there, I think that he at least has some upside. This is just a slate where there's a lot of pitching that I don't feel super confident in. Like, I don't love their price tags, but I also think that chalk pitching outside of Sale probably isn't very good. Like Kyle Hendricks he's a perfectly fine play. I don't mean that he isn't, but Kyle Hendricks probably doesn't beat this tier of, Skaggs, Gray, whoever else as frequently as the public's going to roster him.
Yeah, I agree. He's like Hendricks grades out as my fourth starter right now. He's just a tick behind Gray, but I'll get to a lot more Gray before I get to Hendricks, and I'll get a lot more other guys if Hendricks is the second most owned guy. It has nothing to do with Hendricks. It's just like that's too big of a number for how many other potential options are in that range. Right.
Like the way I look at it from a broad view is, as far as like point per dollar and cash games and getting I Sale and Hendricks is where I would go. Like no question about it.
For sure.
But the Marlins really don't strike out a lot. Hendricks isn't a strikeout pitcher. If you're not getting a 90 pitch complete game out of him, his upside is kind of capped.
Yeah, did you see his most recent one? It was 81 pitches or something stupid.
Yeah. So I mean that's where his upside comes from. And whenever guys like that are popular, I'm fine taking risks on higher strikeout guys that project a little bit lower.
No, that makes sense. From a bats perspective, Tigers are at the bottom. Angels at the top for me. Second behind the Red Sox on FanDuel. Third behind Red Sox and Rockies on DK. And third as well on Yahoo. I'm going to get a lot of Trout, who is basically unowned. I'm going to end up having David Fletcher, which is not appealing. Ohtani back in the lineup. Lefty. I don't mind all that much because of his price. Poop holes, 2,800 on FanDuel. I'm going to end up stacking up the Angels, mostly thanks to Mike Trout.
Yeah, I'm not.
Okay, I get it.
Matt Boyd's just too damn good.
I'll get less than I would normally get just because Boyd's not getting any ownership. But if Boyd was at like 20%, I'd have a stupid amount of the Angels.
I mean, they're cheap, but I think like they should be. I mean, Boyd this year, 16% swinging strike rate to righties with a 264 xWOBA, 200 to lefties with a 19% swinging strike rate. He's just been really, really good, and it's stuff that we saw coming from the end of last year.
By the way, we didn't touch on it before when I was talking about John Gray and Derek Holland. It's really a shame that that's not going to be there. That game's not going to play. So.
Yeah, I was trying to get the weather pulled up while you were talking about that, and I forgot.
I try not to bring that sort of stuff up, but this one looks like it's really not going to happen. So
I'm not that mad about it. Anything that keeps me from rostering Derek Holland and Coors is fine by me.
I'm mad about it. I want to have all my exposure there since nobody else is going to do it.
Yeah.
Cowards, I tell you.
I was also looking at my early projections, and they didn't agree with my Derek Holland take, so I was already like knowing I was going to have to just manually adjust a ton of stuff.
Yeah. Tigers bats for you? Anything? I'm always in for the top three.
I'm always in for Castellanos.
Yeah. You need to open your mind up to Candelario, man.
Why?
I don't know. He's really good against lefties, and he's leading off. And he's cheap.
Yeah.
No? Not your cup of tea?
No.
You need to drink a different tea then. Cubs and Marlins. 4.7 run implied total for the Cubs. 2.8 for the Marlins. We had a shot here. Cubs 70% chance to win. Could have been more fun. Kyle Hendricks going for the Cubbies. Jose Urena going for the Marlins. As we mentioned before, Hendricks 33 and 34% on the 2% or on the two pitcher sites, 19% ownership on FanDuel. No ownership going to Urena. Look, if you're playing cash, Kyle Hendricks is your guy. Don't think twice there. In a GPP, you're going to find better options in the mid-range. Not that he doesn't grade out well, but again, you're trying to win a tournament.
So first, Jeimer Candelario last season against lefties had a 320 xWOBA and a 159 x ISO.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, okay. No?
I'll take a 160 ISO out of a leadoff hitter.
And a 320 x, like he's completely.
I don't care what his WOBA is.
I mean, yeah, that's no.
I will absolutely. I think a 160 ISO in a leadoff spot is incredibly valuable.
Yeah, okay.
Well, no, let's talk about that. Why don't you? I'm not even trying to be funny now. Like the actual conversation.
It's like it's not bad. It's not good. It's just he's there. Like when I stack the Tigers, I get the Candelario. I don't get to him as like a one-off that much. Normally, you can get guys like Justin Turner or Suarez for a little bit more.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, there's just there's so much power at his position that I'll take a 3 or a 4 hitter with like a 220 ISO over him with a 160.
Okay, I mean that's a pretty monstrous ISO that we're comparing it to. I would take that as well in a one-off.
Yeah, but that's like where Suarez comes in. That's where a lot of third basemen come in that are normally like 4,200 instead of like 36 or 37.
Sure, I got you there. No problem.
Okay, but yeah, back to Hendricks. I'll be getting him in tournaments in some lineups because again, it's your lineups don't have to be a bunch of contrarian plays all jammed together. So I'm sure I'll have some lineups where I'm kind of off the board at hitter or with my other pitcher, and I can get the Hendricks there because he does grade out as a good point per dollar play. The weather's good for pitching. The Marlins aren't good at hitting. They don't strike out a lot, but that's not really Hendricks' game anyway. Them not striking out just makes it more likely that Hendricks does go deep into this game, that he is efficient with his pitches, and that you get another 8-9 innings out of Hendricks. So he's certainly a good play. I don't want to suggest that he isn't, but I do agree that long term, if you just kind of have a rule to pivot off of low strikeout chalk, you come out pretty well.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like if I have 20 to 25% Hendricks, I'm happy. I want to have him. He grades out well. He's a really good option. The Marlins are bad, but there comes a point where there's a threshold that I don't totally agree with, and I think that's sort of where he's at right now. It really bums me out that we're not going to be able to get to John Gray because I think John Gray has an equal chance of success as Hendricks, or high-end success as Hendricks, and he's at a third of the ownership, but it's not going to matter because we're not going to see the Colorado game, and I'm going to have to give that ownership to Brent Thornton. I don't know. Not Sonny Gray, I guess. But yeah, if you're playing cash, this is an immediate entry to your cash lineup. Any Urena?
I don't think so. Not a ton of strikeouts in the Colorado lineup.
Wrong team.
Chicago. I mean,
fair.
I was thinking because he's the same price as Derek Holland.
They begin with C's. It's fine.
Yeah. Not a lot of strikeouts in the Chicago lineup. I don't have him really grading out that well. I don't have any cheap pitcher grading out well is like the one reason I could see getting like a little bit of it, but nothing that I'm getting too much, if at all.
I also do not like any cheap pitching now that well, actually, I guess I like Urena more than any other cheap pitcher since I have to wipe out Holland.
Yeah, like I have Brett Anderson a little bit ahead of Urena, but he's low also. So it's just I doubt that I really get to any cheap pitching, but in lineups where that's how it goes, I might get some Urena.
Yeah, I hope that I don't get much here. Not the type of thing that I like having. Let's talk Cubs bats, I guess, since we're probably not talking Marlins bats. Although I'll probably have a little bit. Cubs, middle of the pack for me on DK, middle of the pack on FanDuel. I don't get the sense that I'll have a ton, but if you're looking for a team to stack with a lot of outfield talent at the top, and this Cubs lineup holds, come on down. Second, third, first, short, straight down the line. Catcher, fifth. You even get dual eligibility at Chris Bryant. If you can't figure out a way to stack the Cubs, you really don't know what you're doing. But 3 guys above 5K, Wilson Contreras at 49 on DraftKings. They're really expensive on FanDuel. You're paying up to get the Cubs, but from a positional standpoint, you will find any combination you want here.
Yeah, it's tough to get there at their price tags in this hitting weather with a reasonably decent pitcher. Marlins bullpen opens up a lot for the Cubs if they can get to Urania early, but the price tags are tough. Like I like Anthony Rizzo, but paying $5,300 for Rizzo is normally pretty tough at a position where there's so much power in the mid range.
Favorite Cubs bet?
Anthony Rizzo.
Actually, Chris Bryant for me, but Rizzo is behind him by 0.1%, so it's not as if I'm really worried about it. What happened to Jason Hayward?
I don't know.
I was like really not happy when he left Atlanta. And then like hitting kind of just left his body.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool. We're going to have like a power hitting
elite outfielder.
Yeah, like best right fielder in baseball type guy for 15 years. And it was like, I'm going to go to the Cubs and never hit again. What do you think?
Even this year, so he's got a 216 ISO against righties this year, but his expected ISO is 148.
I don't know what happened. It makes no sense. He was incredible. Incredible in the way that people thought Jeff Francoeur was.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It's so insane. The first like 60 days of Jeff Francoeur's career were like, oh, cool, he's going straight to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
It turns out he was just like a slightly worse version of Puig.
He did have a cannon.
He certainly did have a cannon. Yeah. A little bit of a laser out there. Any Marlins bats outside of Curtis Granderson?
Nope.
Okay, agreed. Neil Walker. Yahoo or FanDuel. I don't really need him on DK. What in the world? Starlin Castro getting 25% ownership here.
2,800 on DraftKings.
Yeah.
That's fine. Whatever.
That's a lot.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it feels unnecessary, but
I'm saying the play is fine, but at the same time, you're taking what you want, 8 points? Like, that's kind of what you're like when Starlin Castro gets you 8 points, you're like, oh, cool. So I don't know. I don't feel the need to have a lot of a popular guy that might get 8.
I agree. Moving on.
How many home runs is Castro about to hit now?
Hopefully 0. Well, actually, you know what? I'll let you know after I crunch. Because if Kyle Hendricks is getting that much ownership, I'll probably have some Marlins. So hopefully a few. Astros and Royals. 5.4 run implied total for the Astros, 3.6 for the Royals, 68% chance to win for the Stros. Man, back-to-back, 68 and 70. Can't get the goods. Brad Peacock going for Houston. Jorge Lopez going for the Royals. Certainly not starting Lopez here. Peacock, 24% ownership on Yahoo, 21 on DK, 13 on FanDuel. Tell me, are you interested in Peacock?
I'll have some, but I'm not as interested as the field, I don't think. The Kansas City team, for one, does scare me. I was having this argument or debate with a friend last night after McHugh. It's not that I don't think we can take pitchers against Kansas City or anything like that. There is strikeout upside here. But if you look at the overall stats for Kansas City compared to breaking it down by individual hitters, this is one spot where I think you can get in trouble doing that because their overall stats are, it says they're a below average offense. But that's because you have guys like Hamilton, Maldonado, down at the bottom. You have, Chris Owings is in there a lot. You have some really bad hitters in the lineup, but at the top with guys like Merrifield, Mondesi, Gordon, Dozier, who has, made improvements. You have some actual good hitters that can do damage. So I think that the lineup, actually like pitching through the lineup, It's a lot more difficult than the overall number suggests that it is. And then you factor in that Peacock has had trouble with left-handed hitters, going back the last couple of years, and that's been the case this year as well. I think that he could have some trouble with Mondesi in particular here. But then you have Alex Gordon, you have Ryan O'Hearn. I don't think it's that easy of a matchup. And I think there are a lot of pitchers priced around Peacock that are good. I don't think I get to as much as the field.
Yeah, I gave him the wrong amount of innings to start. I just bumped him up to 5, but he's gone. Actually, I honestly probably need to keep that at 5 1/3. And he now grades out as my my third best pitcher behind Sale and Kershaw.
You have ahead of Hendricks?
By a lot. Like a lot.
In terms of target score or projected points?
Everything.
Really?
No, not everything. Target score, yes. Projected points, 0.2 of a point behind.
Yeah.
But
yeah, Peacock projects well for me too. I just don't agree with it.
Okay. Yeah, I only gave him 4 innings at the start. That was not correct, clearly.
Like, I expect to have less Peacock than Gray, Hendricks, possibly Skaggs, and possibly Boyd, and possibly Gibson.
Do you want to just, like, Venmo me your money just so that it gets into better hands, or?
Okay, give me numbers that suggest Brad Peacock's actually in a good spot.
Okay. Brad Peacock projects for a 10K per 9 rate via Steamer. That translates to 6.7 strikeouts today, which is the same amount of strikeouts that I'm projecting for Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, well, I don't think Clayton Kershaw's a good play either.
Okay. You want to just Venmo me those entry fees? I think that Peacock has really good stuff. I think that Kansas City strikes out like they're trying to. I love the opportunity of picking up a win. I love the opportunity of picking up. Well, I don't love the opportunity of picking up a quality start, but it's more feasible than it normally is.
Okay, so here's my point with Kansas City though. Like, their lineup strikes out a lot. I agree with you, but when you go position by position, like Whit Merrifield's going to lead off. He doesn't strike out. Right. Mondesi will hit second. He strikes out, but he's good at hitting. And
is he?
Yeah. Yes.
94 weighted runs created plus from Steamer.
He's like 22 years old.
Okay. Why do we hate Candelario?
Because he's not that good at hitting.
Are you typing in their names right now to find out that Candelario projects as a better hitter than Mondesi right now?
I'm pulling up Mondesi.
Okay. For the record, Mondesi is the best Royals option on the slate. Just so we get that out there.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, so anyway, Mondesi. Yeah, I mean, all right. I don't know. Like, Steamer's projection is just stupid on Mondesi. He's 20. He's not even 24 yet.
Okay.
He has been young yet. Like, he was in AAA in 2016, so he's in AAA at like 21. Like, he's been young at pretty much every level. He put up a 114 WRC plus last year. He's at 118 so far this year.
Yeah, Steamer's projection here, not great. I don't mean that sarcastically either. I wonder how they're getting to that.
Yeah.
I guess 200 plate appearances of 33 weighted runs created plus and 17 didn't help, but
yeah. So, 33 and or 149 and 20. He was 21 years old.
Sure.
But yeah. So I think that he's better than those projections.
I don't disagree with that.
But so I mean, he'll strike out. But I think he's a good hitter, and I think that Peacock, when he does struggle, it's with lefties. Gordon doesn't strike out. Hunter Dozier's made adjustments this year. He's striking out like 19.5% of the time. So I don't think this really high strikeout guy that he used to be. Those numbers might go up a little bit, but I don't think he's as high as he was before. Then you get to Solero, Hearn, like those guys will all strike out. But I just think that the guys that he's facing the most at the top of the order, one, they're dangerous hitters, and two, they don't strike out the way that overall Kansas City numbers suggest that they would.
That's fair. I do want to point this out from YouTube chat. Got to take the Steamer projections with some context. Doesn't factor in the breakout. That is absolutely not what you should be doing. That will get you hurt more often than not.
It doesn't factor in what?
The breakout.
As in, like,
As
him
in, like,
being
he broke out. Yeah, it shouldn't factor in the breakout. It should have the same sort of setup for every single person because you can't just selectively pick when things are right or wrong. You can make those changes if you want from a DFS perspective, but I don't want any sort of projection system that is going to factor in the breakout. That's going to make things worse.
I would like a projection system that factors in like with how many guys are just completely adjusting their swings, like
Yeah.
Hunter Dozier. Like I would like one that does that. You know, like if you look at Steamer, it projects I think Dozier for like 97 or 100 WRC plus. I think Dozier blows that out of the water this year. But no, I mean I agree with you. Like if there's not a concrete reason that we know of that someone improved, I'd rather just be regress data, which is basically what Steamer is.
Right. Yeah. Like if we find out someone got LASIK and now their walk rate doubled,
Right.
I'll look to that. And certainly Mondesi is the type of guy that you would expect to take big leaps. Pedigree,
Yeah.
just raw
Super
talent.
cool.
Yeah. Like he's the guy that can see those big jumps, but for every Mondesi that you think turned the corner, you get Jeff Francoeur or Jason Hayward or whatever, and like it just never ends up coming to fruition. I don't like individually picking guys out of that, and I know that you don't either until you have like actionable data.
Right. Yeah. I'm probably quicker than most people, especially because I play DFS tournaments.
Yeah.
So I'm probably quicker than most people to change stuff if I think that there's a reason to. But the reason has to be more than this guy is outperforming his projection for the last month because that doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I think we're both getting to like similar endpoints in a tournament from that strategy, but we're probably exact opposite. I am without question way slower to the draw of making individual changes. And that probably comes out in the wash because I will miss guys for sure, but I will also not get onto things that end up going back to where it was, and
Right.
You'll get the exact opposite. You'll catch the guys that explode and have a couple days of like, oh shit, man, that guy still sucks.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Especially with pitching, because that's where I make the most adjustments.
And I have a much easier time getting behind pitching adjustments than I would ever getting behind hitting adjustments.
Yeah, there's just so much more pitching data that you can dig into. Like I can't dig into, I can't figure out when someone's changed their swing unless there's like an athletic article saying this guy changed his swing.
Yeah, we're not, or you get like, is there a hitting ninja that'll post 2,000 gifs of someone's swing completely being different?
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
that's what you need.
Yeah.
And even then, you can know that someone changed their swing, but at the same time, you're still, you still want to have more than 100 plate appearances to know that it's not just good hitting luck.
Effective. Yeah.
That's fun. Let's talk Astros Bats, I guess, since we're still in this game. They're just a team I don't get to. I can't figure it out. Everything stands out for them. They stack easily. I just don't ever end up with the Astros. I think it's because they're always just sort of priced where they should be. It's always the same guys. It's always the same sort of price tier. And they're rarely like weird value for a random day. They just kind of always are what they are. And some other team ends up mispriced in a low form and I get somebody else. Like, do you end up on a lot of Astros?
Yeah, I usually get to quite a bit.
Okay.
Maybe not as much as I would. I would say that they're a team that this time of the day, I'm normally like, I love the Astros, and then I get less than I expected, but they're still normally one of my highest owned teams.
Okay. Yeah, like I basically never have them. And I truly don't know why, outside of, whatever I just threw against the wall there. This is not like Steamer doesn't project them well. Weighted runs created plus going down the line, 134, 132, 143, 121, 131. I mean, it's not like a lack of talent.
Yeah. And I think it is a good spot here. Jorge Lopez does struggle with right-handed power. Obviously, a lot of it in the Houston lineup, and Kansas City's bullpen not very good. So, Altuve is still really, really cheap on DraftKings at 4,400, and then you get everyone else priced where they should be. Actually probably a little more expensive than they should be. Like Springer at 5,700 is a little unnecessary, like a little extra. Bregman, at 5,300, it's expensive, but he's just incredibly good. Correa's power is back. That's good to see. Yeah, I mean they're a really high upside stack. I do like you can get to Tyler White or Robinson Chirinos, both 200 plus ISO guys that are relatively inexpensive. That helps, kind of balance out the total salary of the stack.
Good point on Chirinos. Not a guy that I would tear or would be like looking to get a lot of, but I mean, he makes stacks work if you need to get a catcher. 25% expected ownership for Altuve on DK right now. Everybody else in the single digits.
Yeah, I mean, his price is really weird.
So Royals bats for you? Merrifield, Mondesi?
Probably not a lot. They're really expensive. The reason I could get the some is just because of Peacock's ownership.
Yeah.
It obviously works as leverage, but paying 4,800 for Gordon or 5,200 for Mondesi, like Mondesi's $100 more on DraftKings than Carlos Correa is. I am gonna have Correa ahead of Mondesi in terms of projection.
This is fantastic. I have Mondesi significantly higher than Carlos Correa, which is just a fascinating way to get back to this.
I didn't actually double check, but
I have him for more fantasy points and like twice the likelihood of target score.
Yeah, I have Correa by like 0.7 DraftKings points.
Why am I so off there?
0.6.
That's fascinating. Get yourself some Mondesi, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what else I can tell you. He grades out in incredible. Adam's pouring drink all over himself. He can't even do this.
Was that on camera?
Oh, it was certainly on camera. Hey, Brett, when you were asking me, do you have any clips for the show? Try to be conscious of that. The hour and 6 minute mark, we get a great one. That one's going to Twitter today. Any issues with this schedule? Okay, I'll look at that later. What up, Jake? Anything else in this game? Favorite bat in this game?
Bregman. Well, Altuve at that weird DraftKings price, but other than that, Bregman.
Gotcha. It's Mondesi for me. Not even trying to be funny with that. He's completely the best percentage per dollar guy. So, what a world. 3 games to go. We'll be brief here. Rockies and Giants. Rockies have a 5.5 run implied total. Giants 4-5. It's a 59% chance to win. John Gray versus Derek Holland. I love both pitchers a ton, and I don't expect it to matter. I expect this game to be postponed, but if we find out that this clears out somehow and these guys have no issue with playing at least the first 6 innings, get yourself some John Gray and Derek Holland in this game. Otherwise, I don't have any new hot takes. They're not going to play.
Yeah, I mean, Giants offense isn't great. John Gray has good stuff, and he's priced down for a cores. Derek Holland's really cheap here. It scares me. Guys like Story and Arenado, should have success, but cold weather if somehow they do play. And Holland actually, I looked yesterday, I haven't looked today, but out of all starting pitchers that had thrown at least 200 pitches this season, Holland was tied with Caleb Smith, trailing only Blake Snell, Max Scherzer, and Steven Strasburg in called strike plus swinging strike percentage this season. He's got good stuff since he added that slider that he throws a ton, and the price tag takes all of that risk into account. So it's not going to matter, but I would be using Derek Holland as a cheap SP2.
Same here. I think the Rockies bats grade out really well, specifically Blackman, Story, Arenado, and Reynolds. But again, I don't tune into the deeper dive, tune into Live Before Lock to know if any of this has changed. But this one will probably get postponed in an hour or two.
So from what I see.
What'd you say?
From what I see right now, it looks like rain at the beginning of the game turning into snow.
Yeah. Not great playing weather.
Yeah.
Playing in the snow sucks.
Going to games in the snow sucks.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would never go.
The first opening day I ever went to when I was, I don't know, like 7th or 8th grade, they had a snow delay at Camden Yards.
I've seen some really awful NFL games in cold weather in Philly. That's not desirable. As a child, I mean, I know how much I bitch and complain as a 34-year-old man. I can't imagine what my dad wanted to do with me in Philadelphia when I was 9. Just toss me clear out of the 700 section of the vet. You're like, fuck, kill him. Because they would have, for sure. They only in Philadelphia, particularly in the 700 section of the vet, would I fully expect to get punched in the face by an adult as a 10-year-old. Horrible, horrible human beings. Yeah, I said it, Laffy. What? You'll never hear this. A's and Reds, 2 games to go. 4.3 run implied total for the A's, 4.2 for the Reds, 52% chance to win for Oakland. Reds are bound to get a hit, I guess. Brett Anderson going for the A's. Sonny Gray going for the Reds. Gray at 7% ownership on DraftKings. So the floor is yours. Talk to me about Sonny Gray.
I just think he's a better pitcher than most people do. I buy into his stats outside of Yankee Stadium last year, where he was a very good pitcher. He struck out 27% of hitters so far this year. The one thing I'm kind of quickly trying to dig into now, and I'll obviously do more of it after this show. The swinging strike percentage has been down the last 2 starts. That doesn't concern me too much because one start was against St. Louis, which is obviously a really tough matchup. One was against the Giants, who have guys to put the ball in play. But looking at his FanGraphs pitch types over his last 3 starts, he's really increased his cutter usage. I don't know that that's a good thing because it's coming at the expense of his breaking balls, which is where he gets most of his swinging strikes. So that concerns me a little bit. I'm still going to end up getting there because I'm assuming he's not projected for high ownership.
7%.
Yeah. So he's not projected for high ownership. I don't love any of the pitching in this price range as significantly better. So I will be getting there. I just hope that he stops with this throwing more fastballs stuff.
Okay. And you mentioned Brett Anderson earlier as a pay down option. Interested there? We know that the Reds can't hit, so might be a good spot.
Not seeking it out whatsoever. It's just a not bad park to pitch in, and he's not a terrible pitcher, and he's cheap. So I think he's probably the guy that I get to the most in like lineups where I'm stacking the Astros with Sale or something, but not like seeking him out by any stretch.
Okay.
I would rather get to like Suarez at 4,300 on DraftKings than get to Anderson.
Yeah, first 4 guys in the Reds lineup, Senzel, Votto, Suarez, Puig, I like quite a bit. The rest of the lineup, not so much. I don't get the sense that I'm going to have much of this game at all. A's are my second worst stack, dollar for dollar. Reds are kind of in the middle of the pack, but if neither pitcher is getting any ownership, I'm not going to be here.
Would you say the A's are your second worst stack because the pitcher they're facing is really good?
Yeah, I think Sonny Gray is good.
Do you?
I don't think that Sonny Gray is not good, I guess is probably the better way to say it. Like I don't anticipate having much of him. He doesn't grade out well for me, but he doesn't grade out as a guy that I want to attack either. He kind of just gets trapped in no man's land.
Yeah, I really need to figure out what's going on with his pitch types. That'll make a big difference for me.
You could just not play him and I'll be fine probably.
Yeah. Well, still, the thing is that if FanGraphs is just like conflating his slider and cutter, which would be hard to do because one's like 10 miles an hour harder than the other one, then I would still want to play him. But like if he's just throwing fastballs, then the good thing is his 4-seam fastball usage has come down over those starts. So that's where most of the cutter usage is coming from.
Bama Metal Jesus says Anderson is a left-handed poor man's Hendricks. That's a lot to process, but it's also not even close.
It's not the worst comparison. He's clearly worse. Very poor man's.
Yeah, but Anderson is like allergic to striking people out. Hendricks is like, Anderson is rough. There's Sean V dropping the atrocious stack line again for the A's. Amazing. Everything is atrocious every day.
Higher swinging strike percentage against right-handed hitters this year, Kyle Hendricks or Brett Anderson?
Clearly Brett Anderson. I hope you're doing this and you're like, Hendricks, twice as high.
Nope, Anderson 8.2, Hendricks 5.
Right. Well, good thing I don't care at all about swinging strike percentage.
Really? That's interesting.
I do and I don't. Like, I don't think it's like magic or anything. I'd like it to be high, but it's not changing my day or anything.
Called strike plus swinging strike's better anyway.
Agreed. Yeah, certainly it's going to correlate positively to like more strikeouts if you get more swinging strikes, I'm sure. But yeah, I'm good. I look at it. I won't change anything that I do.
It changes a lot that I do.
It probably should change more that I do, but I feel like anytime that I touch anything manually, I make it worse. I'm like the opposite of King Midas, so it's usually just safer to keep me out of it. I've learned my lesson at the end of the baseball season last year when you and I would go on these deep dive of pitching things, and I'd be like, all right, I got to adjust this, and this, and then I'd take a bath.
Yeah.
Like,
All right,
okay.
so I don't know what to do with the Sonny Gray stuff. So Fangraphs has, like I said, his cutter usage like just skyrocketing over his last 3 starts, and his four seam usage coming down. Brooks Baseball does not have that whatsoever. It has him basically never throwing a cutter outside of the start against St. Louis. So I don't know. I do like that it appears it's basically he's either throwing a four seam or a cutter. It's not like he's taking away a lot of his breaking ball usage. Slider usage was still up in the last couple of starts, especially I think against righties. Yeah. Last 3 starts against righties, 38, 24, and 25% slider usage. Curveball usage has really gone down, but yeah, I don't know. I think that Gray is still cheap enough against a predominantly right-handed Oakland team that he has plenty of upside
Okay.
in a good park
I didn't hit the mute button there.
and revenge narrative.
Well, saving the best for last.
I should have just skipped everything I said and just led with that.
Yeah, I mean that's what half a YouTube chat is. Dodgers and Braves, 4.6 run implied total for the Dodgers, 3.4 for the Braves. The 63% chance to win for LA. Clayton Kershaw going for the Dodgers. Mike Foltynewicz going for Atlanta. Folty, 2% expected ownership on DK. Kershaw is at 26% on the 2 pitcher sites, 14 on FanDuel. Kershaw is my number 2 pitcher of the entire day. Folty is in that same sort of pack in the middle. He's a little bit more expensive on DK, so I think Folty looks a little bit better on FanDuel. How do you feel about Kershaw? Or if you have interest in Folty, go there as well.
I have more interest in the Dodgers than I do Folty because their price tags are pretty appealing and they have a lot of power. And I think Folty has good stuff, but I just don't really want to pay $9K for him on this slate. As far as Kershaw goes, I haven't projected as I think my second highest pitcher. It's just that I have a pretty big gap between him and Sale, and he's more expensive than these mid-range guys. I know that Ryu obviously just tore apart Atlanta last night, but it's still not a team that I really love taking pitching against, especially expensive pitching that needs to be efficient and get strikeouts. Kershaw is still good. He's just not, what he was before. He struck out about 28% of hitters so far this year. He was at 24% last year. Plate discipline stuff is up a little bit this year, especially his chase percentage. That's really good to see. Actually, a career high right now, 38.8% O swing percentage. So I think the stuff is playing a bit better for Kershaw this year than it did last year.
Okay.
And I don't have a problem with him here, but I think that I'll pretty much be getting to Sale or out of the price range for the most part.
Yeah, I'm gonna have way more. I expect to have way more Kershaw than the public. If the public is at 26 and Sale is at 53. Happy to get there. I wish Folty was a little cheaper, but I'm with you. I have interest in the Dodgers bats. They're like my 5th stack on DK. They're 4th on FanDuel. They project 11th in ownership. So I expect the Dodgers to be one of my biggest gaps between my ownership and the public. So talk to me about which Dodgers bats stand out.
I mean, lefty power is where you really want to be against Foltynewicz. When he struggles, that's normally where it comes at. He did make improvements last year. Got much better against lefties since the start of last year. 291 expected WOBA to lefties, 265 to righties. I think he's actually a good pitcher with good stuff, but the left-handed bats in this lineup are just so good. Obviously Bellinger is really expensive, but he's a really good hitter. Muncy, I think, is reasonably priced. Corey Seager's cheap. Peterson has plenty of power. And then you get to like a cheap Justin Turner who appears to finally be hitting baseballs well again with, 3 home runs last night. But even if he hadn't hit 3 home runs last night, $3,800 Justin Turner would always be kind of appealing. Hernandez has plenty of power. It's really just like a talent play where I know that I'm not going to get to a lot of Foltynewicz because he's just a little bit more expensive than a lot of guys that I think have talent on this slate, like Skaggs and Gray, even Peacock. But I just like betting on Dodgers talent when they're not going to be that popular.
I'm with you. Jock, Bellinger 5,800, but I mean, sure. Turner, Seager. I might even have some Max Muncy. Does Max Muncy really have second base? Does he play second base?
Yeah.
You don't get a lot of first base, second base eligibility. Not typically the crossover positions. I didn't play a lot of first growing up and think like, all right, Josh, now head over to second. Usually a different skill set.
Yeah, I actually played first and second like my last couple of years of like summer ball in high school, but that was just because my arm was completely shot, and yeah, so it wasn't because like I was actually a prototypical first baseman at 5'8".
Yeah, they just stuck me at first pretty much forever. Once I demonstrated enough lack of skill to play short,
Yeah.
my tall ass got shifted straight over to the corner. Any Braves bats for you? I'm fairly confident I'll have none or next to none, even though they grade out as like an average stack.
Yeah, right there with you.
Yeah. If you get to Albies, Donaldson, Freeman, Acuna, no one's going to freak out. It's 3 quality positions, reasonable price tags. And Albies against a lefty is the spot you're trying to get him. I mean, if he's unowned, which he's projected for now, I really like an Ozzy Albies one-off.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, but otherwise, I'm good. Wow, is that already there? It's just the link to the video. I was like, wow, Brett's on the ball. Not sure what to do with Kershaw today with a tag of us in the YouTube. I was like, oh my God, did you pull that out already? Kudos. Don't know how you did that. All right, that is it. Let's take a look at a couple. I haven't run any crunches, so it's not even going to matter. Go to Yahoo. Sign up. I'm going to drop the link in. That's what you should be doing. Who do you expect, as of right now, to be your 2 most exposed pitchers on DraftKings?
Chris Sale and
Sonny Gray.
Yeah, Sonny Gray.
I expect mine to be probably Kershaw and Peacock. So, go in different directions today. Lots can happen. Let's be clear. Link for Yahoo is dropped in the chat. If you're looking to sign up for Yahoo, please use that link. It helps us out so much. Use the promo code AWESOMO when signing up. You get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. Coming up later today, Lofty will have the deep dive out in the early afternoon. Deeper dive from 5 to 6. Live before lock, myself and Chris Spags going from 6 to 7. And then Ben Rasa, Jason Roslin talking the AT&T Byron Nelson tonight, 9 p.m. I'm playing golf tomorrow, man. I started working on the golf model a little bit. Going after the golf mini max. So maybe I'll get it in golf before I get it in baseball.
I did.
You did what?
I won the golf mini max in my very last mini max I was allowed to play.
Really? Nice. Yeah. Good for you. Good for you. Hopefully I get it in this one before I get cut off. That's the hope, at least. If I don't ever win that tournament, it's going to be a black mark on my entire career. I'll be like Karl Malone.
Patrick Ewing.
Sure. Trying to think of other guys that don't win. What's the equivalent, though? The mini max is not like a tournament that matters. It's got to be like a sport. Is there any famous hockey guys that didn't win a championship? Because that's the equivalent.
Yeah, there is, but I can't think of his name.
Did Lemieux win one?
Yeah.
I can't picture Pittsburgh winning anything, so.
I'm almost positive.
I don't think they...
Like, how would they not have?
I can't picture it. I can't picture the Penguins ever being good. I know, like, Crosby got one, and that was like a chore. I don't know anything.
I don't know. I'd be really surprised if Lemieux didn't.
At the very least, I know that I just need to look at list of Stanley Cup champions because it's not going to be on a different team. Did Pittsburgh ever win? Not the Challenge Cup. I don't even know what the fuck the Challenge Cup is. 91 and 92. Okay, cool. So that was right at the time where I have no memory. Yeah, it went back to back. I don't know who's a hockey player that never won a championship, because that's the equivalent for me right now. Not winning the mini max. Never winning a tournament that no one cares about.
There's definitely a famous one that was really good, and I just like it's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't know who it is.
I can't even think of famous like hockey players. Trying to look at even like the recent winners. Probably a Blackhawk.
They have won like a ton recently.
Yeah, but 2013, like no one in that, like our youthful era, like they didn't win at all. And they're a team that would have been around a lot and have good people. So I don't know. It doesn't matter. We are out of here. Early slate locking. Oates never won one. I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, he was on the Caps and the Bruins.
Yeah, I don't know who Oates is. I know Captain Oates, which is Seth's toy horse in the OC.
Oates was on the Caps team that got swept by the Red Wings in 97, 98.
Does Oates have a first name?
Adam.
No wonder he never won. I probably could have had a better joke there, but I needed to just get it out. I felt it coming up. Like, as soon as you said it, I felt something in my body like, oh, this is time to be an asshole. It's a great... Jeremy Roenick? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Cam Neely? Oh, we're getting a lot of names now. Now we're just naming hockey players, I think.
They are all guys that I've heard of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Cam Neely was like a horrible person, right?
Maybe.
I don't know. No, we're naming people I don't know. So now am I getting tagged in a Brett Hull?
Okay.
I thought he won one.
He never won? Really?
Didn't he win? Didn't they win because of him with the skate in the crease, or am I thinking of something else?
I definitely thought Brett Hull had won before.
Or maybe they lost because of that? I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Thank you guys for joining us.
Yeah, he was a member of 2 Stanley Cup winning teams, 1999 with the Stars, 2002 with the Red Wings.
There you go. Great job, Premium Slack. Oh, and that's Brick, too, man. That's not the one I would have expected to get that wrong. There's a lot of people in Slack I would expect a whiff on that. We're not starting at the top of the list. Alrighty. Thank you guys for joining us. Early slate locks at 12:30, so pay attention 90 minutes from now. Best of luck. Adam, you got anything else?
I do think Jeremy Roenick's a valid comp.
Okay, there we go. Jeremy Roenick. I'm Jeremy Roenick. Minus the after sport issues that he seemed to have for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Which I've probably had too, just not in the public eye. Alrighty. We're out of here. Hour and a half. That's not really bad for 12 gamers. So good luck. Hit us up in Slack. MLB Strategies, the promo code. Goodbye.